So this video is an introduction to my album Piece of Angels, which was recorded in 1992. It is on my Rediscovered tapes, but I'm sure I also have a cassette version lying around somewhere. Now, this video doesn't contain any music. I just want to run through the composition process and the creation process. This is something I really like to see in composers and musicians' videos, so I hope you do too, and I hope you enjoy it. The album consists of 5 tracks, and if you access it through the playlist, which should pop up here, and there will also be a link in the description, then YouTube will very helpfully play through the entire album. The description also contains links to the individual tracks, so you can listen to the entire album or to individual tracks as you wish. Now, in the 80s and the 90s, I was writing about music software and music hardware, synthesizers and so on, and in most cases I needed silence in order to do this. Now, I know some people, students in particular, seem very adept at listening to heavy metal rock music while they are studying. This is something which I just simply can't do. I find it too distracting. If I put on a piece of music, then I tend to get involved in the music and distracted from the work I'm trying to do. However, at the time, I found that I could listen to ambient relaxation music while I was actually doing the writing process, obviously not when I was playing with synthesizers and making sounds. And back in the 70s and 80s and through into the 90s, there was a growing interest in new age music. Now, I do the rabbit ears because I think it's a bit of a strange title, because it encompasses a vast range of musical styles and genres, but essentially it's music for relaxation, meditation, yoga, inspirational perhaps. Now, in the 70s and 80s, many gift shops, particularly in seaside towns, had a carousel of CDs and cassettes of new age music. Now, these had fantastic, very inspirational covers, so I bought and listened to many of them. The style of the music seemed to cover quite a range. There were electronic music pieces, there were also pieces recorded with acoustic instruments, and there was a lot of interest in so-called world music at the time. So the genre, if you can call it that, because it is so vast, covered quite a range of styles. So I had been listening to a lot of this type of music, and I thought I could write something like this. So I did. I sent it off to a couple of music publishers, and one of them said, yes, we'll publish that, thank you. And so they did. And so this album appeared in 1992. Now we'll get the technical bits out of the way first. If you've seen any of the other videos on this channel, you will be familiar with my 1990 studio. If you're not, a card will pop up here so you can check it out, and there will also be a link in the description. But essentially I was using an Atari ST, I was using Notator sequencer software, and a lot of the pieces I created were played on the Yamaha SY77. And this album was no exception. All of the sounds come from the Yamaha 77 with a little dash of reverb, courtesy of the Alesis QuadraVerb. As new age music is traditionally music to relax to, I sorted through my Yamaha SY77 presets and created a few banks of sounds which I thought would be conducive to this sort of music in this type of atmosphere. And the way a lot of my compositions begin is by selecting a sound which I like and just playing around with that, and the sound I find often inspires a piece of music, and that's essentially how these pieces were created. Now, you will notice that the first 4 tracks have a very similar sound set. They aren't identical, but they use similar types of sound. I did this to create a sort of cohesion between the pieces, and I think that works fairly well. The 5th track, Man Tranquility, is essentially a 25-minute long improvisation. I started the sequencer without a metronome and played for 25 minutes. Now, the sound I used, or the type of sound I used, was very popular at the time, and it is a piano sound with an underlying layer of strings. I still think this type of sound sounds really good, and I find it very inspirational to play. It's a fairly easy sound to create if you have a synthesizer which can play 2 layers at the same time. One layer set up a piano sound, the second layer a string sound, but in the second layer and the string layer just delay the strings a little bit. The usual way to do this is by increasing the attack time on the ADSR envelope. So if you play fairly staccato like, then the piano sound plays, but if you hold down a key for a little bit longer, the strings come in. I just think it's a great sound and a great fun thing and inspirational sound to play with. So unlike the other 4 pieces, which of course were carefully composed and scripted and recorded, with this piece I came up with a very short motif or riff or phrase if you like, which appears right at the beginning, and I sort of made it up from that point on. And you will hear that this little motif appears and reappears throughout the piece. So that's essentially how the album was written, how it was composed and recorded. So as all this music was stored safely on the computer, I could reproduce it at any time. I created a cassette demo to send off to the publishers. When they said they wanted to release it, I recorded a master copy to DAT and sent that off, and at the same time I made another DAT copy for myself and for my records. So that was it. Now, when I thought about putting these on YouTube, I took the opportunity to add some visuals, which I hope enhance your viewing and listening enjoyment. However, the music was essentially designed to be relaxing. So if you want to watch the visuals, that is fine. If you want to close your eyes and even fall asleep, I will consider that an absolute success. If you have any comments about the music or any aspect of its production, you can leave a comment in this video or in the comments of the individual tracks as you wish. If you enjoy the music, then please consider subscribing to the channel. Ring the bell so you get informed of new videos as soon as I release them. And do hit the big thumb, you know you want to. So as ever, thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoy the music, and I will see you in the next video.